moving on now to our very special guest that we have this evening. This gentleman has dedicated over 4 decades of his life into studying, practicing, authoring lots about our Vedic Dharma, philosophy, Sanatan Dharma. He's an esteemed Vedic astrologist, many awards. I could do a whole show on this gentleman's accolades alone. And most recently, he's won another award. But let me introduce him and congratulate him when he's here personally. I'd like to welcome our very esteemed guest, multi-award winning Dharmic, Vedic astrologer, philosopher, guru. I'm so honored to be joined by 2 gurus, and today to have Jeffrey Armstrong G joining us, who recently won an amazing award. He actually got recognition from the Indian government after all these years of his outstanding contributions, winning the ICCR Distinguished Indologist Award. So welcome, Jeffrey G, very much. We're honored to have you join us.
Thank you, Saloni.
Om Gurubhyo Namaha.
But Satish Ji, so good to see you always.
Jeffrey G, it's a pleasure, and I'm delighted to be able to participate in this welcome and also this celebration of this remarkable achievement. So sincere congratulations and heartfelt congratulations to you. An amazing achievement, long overdue.
Absolutely. Please tell our audience, a little bit of your journey, because I know you're a regular on the Festival of Bharat channel, but here on the sister channel, Chitty Media, some of our audience might not be too familiar with your work. And you've done so much for them to learn from. Kindly just give us a little bit of yourself in a nutshell.
All right. Well, you just invoked it unknowingly, because the Pope's been visiting some very interesting places, don't you think?
Yes.
I mean, it's a bit surprising and unprecedented. So when you said celebration, I remembered the story of the Pope in the Vatican one day in the Vatican Library, and he's screaming, "No, no, no, I knew it, no, no." And a bunch of the cardinals come in and say, "Your Holiness, what is it?" And he says, "The word is celebrate."
Fantastic.
Instead of celibate, of course.
Well, I was going to let you deliver the punchline, but it's a welcome opportunity to celebrate. Saloniji, if I may, I've known Jeffrey G for a period of time, and I know how shall we say uncomfortable he is blowing his own trumpet. So I'm going to do it a little bit. When I first met him, it was at Imperial College, such a long time ago. And it was an ungodly hour, shall we say, early in the British morning. And he was delivering a conversation and a talk about Dharma. And when I heard it, I was deeply, deeply moved. It filled in so many gaps which I had been sort of struggling with. And I recognized that what we had here was not only somebody who appreciated Sanatan Dharma, not only somebody who had intellectually accumulated a great deal of ideas, but somebody who had actually incorporated it into his being. And there was an integrity, not just of what he knew, but of what he said. And as I later came to know, what he actually believed in and what he then implemented in his life. And so that drew me to him. And we had some wonderful exchanges at that time. And we've remained very, very close ever since. I've been blessed to receive some wonderful words from Jeffrey G. And like all of us, his latest contribution was the Bhagavad Gita, a radical translation. And it's a translation which will help many, many English speakers for many years to come. It's one of those sevas which seems to be limited in time until you understand what it is. When you really immerse yourself in it, you can see the ripples that are going to flow out from what he has done across time. And we are indebted to him. And I'm really delighted that the Indian government recognized him. One of our mischievous sort of conversations that we have from time to time is this idea that it's unrefined, it's almost sort of uncivilized for one human being to study another human being. That's not something that resonates in our hearts. We learn from each other, but we don't scrutinize and study each other. But the whole profession of Indology was a profession of actually scrutinizing another human being. And most of the Indologists, sadly, were stuck in that mindset. But we have somebody with us today who not only immersed himself in the study of the culture, the tradition, and its people, but he did so from a genuine, authentic position of first being a student, being blessed to receive the wisdom that flows to a humble student, and then being not just an appreciator, but a preserver, a promoter, and a protector of it. And I think what he has done single handedly has suddenly elevated the profession of Indologist to becoming partially, well, okay, almost potentially completely respectable, as opposed to the, shall we say, unholy tradition which it had hitherto been. And that, I think, is probably why the Indian government have recognized his contribution. And so it is it's a pivotal moment, and it's something that we should all recognize and applaud. And as I've said multiple times, I am so delighted that Jeffrey G has been recognized by the Indian government. It is a watershed moment. And there we go. It has now been recognized in Silicon as well. So Jeffrey G, heartfelt congratulations to you. And I'm looking forward to you continuing your incredible contribution from this new platform and this new authority and this new support system that the Indian government has given to you. So wonderful. Please, over to you, Jeffrey G. Your thoughts about receiving the gift, receiving the award and the recognition, and as well as this new association with the Indian government. We would love to hear what the reality of it all is now.
Thank you, Satish. There are so many, I love listening to you speak. There are so many beautiful moments associated with the Vedic knowledge, but coming in from the outside, my favorite mantra has always been Omagana Timirandasya, Ganangana Sarakaya, Chakshur Unmilitam Genatasmai, Sri Gurave Namaha. I was blind and I could not see. I was clueless. And my guru came and with the torchlight of Vedic Vidya forced open my eyes. It's so visceral. And it is exactly what happened. It is exactly what happens for someone who's born in the dark, but from a previous life, they know, but they don't know yet. And to be born in that such uncomfortable feeling in a culture that's, I tell you, as I was just thinking about all of this, the United States was napalming women and children in Vietnam and inviting people like me to join in with them. And so to be born in a historical moment and have the Vedic knowledge and gurus come over, and the way I like to say it is the gurus of India, after post-colonial, at the very, very beginning of post-colonial, said, wait a minute, you took all the unimportant stuff, just the jewels and the money and all that. You forgot the most important treasure. And the gurus came running over to the West and gave the grandchildren of the colonizers Vedic Vidya. What sweet revenge. And I was one of those recipients. So when someone says to me something about my greatness, I turn around and start pointing to my gurus and go, no, 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 no. They gave me this as a trust to carry forward and not subvert it or pervert it. And interestingly enough, that's what led me to what I'm currently doing most. I saw how the English language is the greatest enemy of the Sanatana Dharma culture.
Yes.
And I've been trying to do something to remedy that ever since. But one of my degrees was psychology. And by the time I went into the ashram at age 23, I had a 5-year degree in psychology. My professors wanted to pass me on to get a PhD as quickly as possible, which at the time proved to me that they were insane. Because they wanted to put crazy people in the hands of someone as young and inexperienced as me. So that invalidated psychology to me entirely. But what it did do was it led me to the understanding that most of the world is insane and pretending otherwise. If there's one thing you learn in psychology, if you're paying attention, it is that. Everyone is faking it till they make it, and they don't usually make it. And there's no accepted definition of sanity or who we are or what we are. And persons like Carl Jung went to India. And one of my favorite quotes of Carl Jung was a letter he wrote to a friend of his in the United States. And he said, I have just seen the truth bare, naked in front of my eyes. I have seen Shiva and Durga, and now I understand. But I cannot share this with the West because they will not allow me. And so I'm going to call them, you knew exactly who they were. He said, I'm going to call them Anima and Animus. I'm going to give them names they'll allow in academia. And I was breastfed on Carl Jung. Oh, joy.
Amazing, amazing.
Getting behind it was the secret. And now the next secret was, how do I become a reputable ambassador of something so great that I was not born with reflexes to pursue and to show and to personify? And this has been the puzzle, and it has led me down the linguistic road that the Bhagavad Gita comes alive emerged from, which is to start actually learning how to give credit to the Bharatiya culture and its own terms. And I believe this is, you and I have this as our contract.
It's true. It's true. You've just emphasized the link between the East and the West and how it's been taught to us in the past, many, many wrinkles. And all of us are in the process of hopefully ironing out those wrinkles so the flow can happen faster and better. And one of the things that struck me about this pivotal moment, Jeffrey G, if I may, was that our knowledge teaches us to look beyond name and form. And Adi Shankaracharya ji, in his Nirvan Shatkam, he summarizes it so well, that the essence of what we are is not physical, it's not our body, it's not our thoughts, etc., etc. But this has always been, I thought, a stumbling block, because traditionally the Bharatiya academic circles, the Adhyatmic circles, always looked at people not of the tradition with a degree of suspicion. And I can understand the roots of that suspicion. But I was hoping they'd be able to look beyond that and see what I saw, which was that there is a repository of refined vidya here, present in this person. But not only that, there is a mechanism for articulating which is so rare. And by the Indian government recognizing that, I think that's a quantum leap forward. It genuinely means that the Bharatiya civilization is now recovered to such a degree that it can reach out again and say to whoever a person is and whoever is willing to drink of this nectar, we welcome you, we appreciate you, and we applaud your participation in our dance and in our renaissance. And that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. I really feel that what I saw in you all those years ago back at Imperial College has now been appreciated by many more of my own ancestral country folk. And this, I hope, will actually continue, that we get many more people who have made it their life's mission and who have sacrificed an awful lot, as have you, to become a part of this Renaissance, that they too achieve greater recognition. So you're a bit of a pioneer across this boundary, Jeffrey G.
You know, my friend, what I really am is very stubborn linguist and poet. And when I learn amazing new words, I use them all the time because they don't exist anywhere else. And this is the part, to me, that is so irrefutable. And I've finally come up with what I consider an adequate term for it. And that is that first, one must recognize that Sanskrit is the secret. It is a language that does not drift away and lose its meaning over time. And time is the buzzword. Kalo smihim. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am time. Arjuna says, who are you? And Bhagavan says, I'm time. Great. So now, then, there must be a way to say things that are always true, that are not made untrue by the passage of time. But then I look around and say, so raise your hand if you're from a culture that has a language like that. Russia? No. France? No. Italy? No. Anywhere in Europe? No. English? Absolutely not. You can get lost going to the corner store in English. So none of those languages, not another country in the world, has a book in their language that is self-actualizing. Just think of that. Not a single other culture, not China, not Japan. When I brought out the Gita Comes Alive, the Japanese didn't bring out some book comes alive finally. And China, as big as it is and noisy as it is, it doesn't have any book that says, here's who you really are. Seems to me they've all caught the same disease, and the only doctor in town that knows how to diagnose it is Bharat.
Jeffrey G, it's true. I don't think there has ever been a time when there were so many humans who were so little interested in what existed at the center of their own universe. The emphasis has been for such a certainly 200 years, forget what's at the center of your own universe and look outwards, look outwards, look outwards. And it has become so much a part of idiom and language and communication that everybody's attention has been effectively blocked. And so the contribution of something in the English language, a language which has ensnared and enslaved and undermined the faculty of self-realization in so many people, for it to now be available in this language, the Gita, which says this is what is at the center of your universe, is a remarkable contribution.
And here is a language that was spoken so you would not forget that you are immortal beings. Because how can you overcome terror and fear? And one more thing that the Catholic Church not only couldn't overcome, but encouraged. Robbing and stealing. Now, I was born Christian. Robbing and stealing, raping and pillaging. Wait a minute, drum roll. In the name of Jesus. Excuse me. Is that Jesus meek and mild? The one we, get our presents from at Christmas, and the one who was supposedly one-off and is really wonderful? And he has sent us out into the world to rape, pillage, steal, rob, and aren't we still? What are corporations? They're only designed to make profit. Colonization hasn't stopped, it's just gotten sophisticated. And when I finally began to see all of this in the light of the Sanskrit and Vedic Vidya, then did it sink to the very core of my being. And my gratitude to the gurus of Bharat became infinite, became immeasurable. So there's only one thing to do in the face of such gratitude, and that is to try to be their servant in some way, shape, or form without losing the essence of what they were carrying.
Jeffrey G, I look forward to joining you so that the two of us can appear on a stage in Bharat, perhaps. And
Yes.
that would be a wonderful, wonderful blessing. Although, having said that, I know the meaning of the word blessing, and I know that it's uncomfortable for you and I. But it would be an ashirvad from the universe for us to be able to have more conversations like this. But I think today we were just wanting to embrace you and bow to you and thank you for having been so determined, so committed against all of the odds to stick with your inner compass, that intuition which comes from prarabdha karma and past motivations and past wishes, which has propelled you and taken you to this particular point. It struck me when you were describing your journey that your journey has actually been the archetypal niti niti. You were immersed in a civilization where all your instinct was saying, no, not this, not this. I have to discard that. I have to resist this. I have to say no to that. You are the embodiment of where niti niti can take a person. And so, again, I salute you, and I am absolutely delighted that this recognition has come to you. And I look forward to hearing even more recognition and more accolades being heaped upon you. It's the beginning as opposed to the end. So, Jai Shri Ram, and thank you very much, Jeffrey Ji. Jai Shri Krishna.
My joy. Jai Shri Krishna.
Absolutely,
Indeed.
Jeffrey G. May all Indologists be just like you, because so far many of them have learnt our heritage and they've become enemies of India. I could roll off a few names. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to, but I've looked at some of their Twitters and it's just Hindu bashing, and they call themselves Sanskrit scholars, professors, and they're using our beautiful Bharat heritage to continue colonization. And you have done it from your heart. You've learned and you've seen the essence of it, and you've taken the beauty from it, and you're sharing it in the world with your beautiful, you are a lyrical wizard with your poetry, your books. You're a fantastic author. We have so much to learn from your gyan. Both you and Panditji, two amazing gurus here on the platform today, with a wealth of knowledge from our Shastras and Vedas, and we all need to learn from you. I'm slightly younger than you both, only a little bit, but by reading the books in English, I know English is a very limited language. Sanskrit is so vast. For example, if I say uncle, you're confused who I'm talking about. If I say mama, you know exactly it's my mum's younger brother, or Masi. It's such a precise language, Sanskrit. So you're absolutely right. English is one of the worst enemies for our dharmic teachings. But thank you for as much as you're able to do with our limited language here.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey Ji. Om Guru
Thank
Bhyo Namaha. Om Guru
you,
Bhyo
Pandit Ji.
Namaha.
Thank you both. Jai Shri
Om
Krishna.
Guru.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai. Jai Bhagavan.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.